Hi everyone, welcome back to Ancient Chinese Wisdom Life. Today we talk about the third hexagram, Zhun. The inner trigram is Zhun, thunder. The outer trigram is Kan, water or danger. So this is water over thunder, or clouds above thunder. The lower trigram means movement, but this movement meets Kan above, deep water and danger. This is also the first hexagram after Qi and Kun, and after heaven and earth appear, their forces begin to interact. But the first interaction is not smooth and easy. It brings difficulty, confusion, and disorder. In Wilhelm translation, this hexagram is called difficulty at the beginning. I think this is very close to the original meaning of Zhun, the Chinese character. So it can be understood through the image of a young blade of grass pushing upward from the earth. But the grass meeting resistance as it begins to sprout. In Chinese, we often see everything is difficult at the beginning. This is why the Tuan commentary says, when the firm and the soft first begin to interact, difficulty is born. There is movement inside danger, great success comes through the correctness and perseverance. Thunder and rain move and fill everything. At the beginning of heaven's creation, all is still rough, dark, and unclear. It's favorable to establish leaders and helpers, but there isn't yet peace. I think this is a very important image. Zhun is not a stable state. It's the beginning of movement. Everything is still forming. There is energy, but also danger. On the other hand, this also means there is opportunity. In particular, after the thunderstorm, the air can become clear again. The rain can nourish the earth, and what was struggling to begin can finally find its form. So that's why even Zhun means difficulty at the beginning. Great success can come at the end. The hexagram statement says, Zhun brings great openness and success. It is favorable to remain correct and persevering. Don't rush forward with a major undertaking. It is favorable to establish a supporting structure. So again, the statement says, even Zhun means the difficulty at the beginning. It can bring great openness and success. There is life trying to grow, so the advice isn't to rush forward, but to be careful. Organize the situation, build support, find helpers, and slowly bring order out of chaos. This is also why the image commentary Xiangzhuan says, clouds over thunder, this is the image of Zhun. Thus noble person brings order out of confusion. The sky is full of clouds and thunder. The air is tense. Rain is about to fall. Everything feels crowded, heavy, and unclear. But inside this chaos, order is already hidden. The noble person must find that order. The Chinese phrase 经纶 here originally suggests arranging threads, like sorting out silk threads from a tangled mass and binding them into proper order. At the beginning of something new, life often feels like a tangled thread. Too many things appear at once. Too many problems need attention, and too many possibilities are mixed together. So the task is to separate, connect, organize, and slowly find the pattern. If you receive hexagram Zhun in divination, it usually suggests that you are at the beginning of something difficult but meaningful. A new life, a new project, a new relationship, or a new direction is beginning to appear. But right now, things are still messy, unclear, and unstable. So the advice is don't try to force a quick result. Instead, stay patient and begin organizing the situation. Find helpers, build a team, and slowly bring order out of the beginning chaos. Remember that every beginning has difficulty. A blade of grass must push through the soil before it sees the light. Now let's go to the 6 lines. The first line, hesitation and hindrance. It is favorable to remain correct and persevering. It is favorable to establish helpers. The image here is like a young sprout trying to grow upward, but meeting a heavy stone above it. It can't simply rush forward, otherwise it may damage itself. So a better way is to pause, remain steady, and build up its own strength. This is the first yang line in this hexagram. It has energy and wants to move, but above it there are two yin lines in the inner trigram, and the outer trigram is kan, danger, waiting ahead. Nevertheless, this yang line is also in a yang position, so it has the correctness and inner strength. It has the potential to overcome the difficulty, but the problem is that it isn't the right time, as it's still at the very beginning of this hexagram. So one shouldn't give up. Instead, one must remain persevering, stay correct, and keep the direction in mind. This line also says it is favorable to establish helpers. At the beginning of a difficult task, one shouldn't be arrogant or isolated. Instead, one should seek the right assistance, build a support structure, and work with others in a humble spirit. Only in this way can he attract people who are willing to help him overcome the difficulties. If this is your changing line, then the matter you are asking about is probably still at an early stage. There may be obstacles, hesitations, and difficulty at the beginning, but the line is not hopeless. It suggests that if you encounter obstacles at the beginning of an enterprise, you shouldn't force your way forward immediately. It is time to stop, think carefully, and understand the situation. If you persevere patiently, build your own strength, and gather the right helper, good results can eventually come. If asking about childbirth, traditionally this may be interpreted as the birth of a boy. Then the second line, difficulty upon difficulty. The horses turn back and separate. He is not a robber. He comes to seek marriage. The maiden remains correct. She doesn't marry now. After 10 years, she marries. At first, everything looks confused. The horses and dragons seek to turn around and separate. Then suddenly, someone appears. At the first, we may think he's a robber, but later we realize that he has come to seek marriage. But this line says, the maiden doesn't marry immediately and waits for 10 years. Here, the second yin line can be understood as the maiden. She's in the center and correct position, as it is a yin line at a yin position. So she has her own integrity and is waiting for the yang line at the fifth position. However, this second yang line is sitting above the first yang line. It is like riding a strong and restless horse. So there is pressure and difficulty. There are two ways to understand the last sentence. One way is to read it as marriage. Another way is to connect it with childbirth. She doesn't become pregnant now, but after 10 years, she becomes pregnant. Either way, the deeper meaning is similar. Don't rush. The right result comes only when the time is complete. If this is your changing line, the advice is, you may be surrounded by difficulties and confusion, unexpected help, or an unexpected relationship may appear, but don't accept everything too quickly. Don't let temporary relief pull you away from the right direction. Even friendly help must come at the right time and from the right place. Wait for the proper timing and let the situation become clear over time. For many questions, this line suggests waiting, perhaps 10 days, 10 months, or even 10 years depending on the situation. If asking about childbirth, traditionally this may be interpreted as the birth of a girl. Now let's move to the third line. Hunting deer without a guide, one enters deep into the forest. The noble person understands the signs and chooses to give up. To continue forward brings humiliation. This line gives us the image of a man chasing a deer into a strange forest. The deer may look attractive and it may represent an opportunity, a desire, or something we really want to obtain. But the problem is there's no guide. So the more he chases the deer, the deeper he enters the forest, and the easier it is to lose his way. So this line tells us, know when to stop. The nobler person can see the early signs. He understands that the timing isn't right, the preparation isn't enough, and the road ahead isn't clear. So instead of continuing blindly, he chooses to stop. This is the wisdom of this line. So if this is your changing line, the advice is not every opportunity should be chased immediately. You may not be fully prepared yet, or not understand the whole situation. If you continue forward blindly, the results may be danger, so don't chase the deer without a guide. Stop, observe, and wait until you have better guidance and clear conditions. If asking about childbirth, traditionally this may be interpreted as the birth of a boy. After waiting through the third line, we now arrive at the more favorable fourth line. The horses turn back and separate, seek union. To go forward brings good fortune. Nothing is unfavorable. This line again uses the image of horses and wagons turning back and separate. At first, the situation still looks uncertain, and again, one seeks for union, connection, and marriage. Unlike the second line, now there is new opportunity to connect with the right helper, as it is next to the yang line at the fifth position. To initiate connections or to propose requires humility. It may require us to lower ourselves a little, admit what we need, and open the door to cooperation. And many people doesn't like that kind of feeling, but admitting our own weakness is the real strength. Only a true strong person can understand that nobody knows everything and nobody can do everything alone. So when we are facing difficulty, asking for help is not shameful. It may actually be the clearest sign that we understand the situation. And if we take the first step towards a connection, good fortune can come and nothing is unfavorable. So if this is your changing line, the advice is don't remain isolated. If you lack enough power to solve the problem alone, look for the right support. A good helper, a useful partnership, or a sincere connection may bring the situation forward. So when the right opportunity appears, don't let pride or unnecessary hesitation stop you. Go forward, seek union, and accept the help that truly fits the situation. If you are at a higher position, you should learn how to use wise persons or the right person for the right task. If asking about childbirth, traditionally this may be interpreted as the birth of a girl. Now we come to the fifth line. Difficulty in distributing blessings. Small perseverance brings good fortune, great perseverance brings misfortune. It is in a very high position. The fifth line is often the position of leadership, authority, and influence. It is almost like the position of heaven. But here the blessing is blocked and couldn't reach the people below. So even though this person may be in a high position, and even though he may have good intentions, his kindness and benefit can't easily take shape. Maybe others don't understand him, or the situation is too chaotic. Maybe person in the middle distort his message, block his action, or prevent this good intention from reaching those who need it. So this is not a fully favorable line. There is something good here, but it is dark and limited. Small actions and careful steps can work, but if he tries to force a great undertaking too early, it may bring danger. If general confidence hasn't yet formed, then pushing too hard may only create more resistance. If this is your changing line, the matter you are asking about may not be very favorable for a large action right now. There may be difficulty in making your good intention understood. There may not be enough resources, trust, or support for the benefit to reach others smoothly. So don't force a big result. Focus on small, correct, and steady actions. Small perseverance is good. Great forcing is dangerous. If asking about childbirth, traditionally this may be interpreted as the birth of a boy. Now we reach the top line. This is the final line, and the image is very sad. The horses turn back and separate. bloody tears flow. Again, we see the horses as dragons turning back and separating. So the hesitation and difficulty have still not been solved. But now we are at the top line. The difficulty has reached its extreme. At the beginning of the hexagram, difficulty was still a challenge, and there was still a chance to build strength, find helpers, and move forward slowly. But here, the person seems to be stuck. The struggle has come too heavy, and even worse, there's no help and support. This is a very unfavorable line, and Confucius commented on this line, bloody tears flow, one should not persist in this. So if this is your changing line, the image is not very favorable. The situation may have reached an extreme. The difficulty may be too deep, or the path may no longer be workable in the same way. The advice is don't stay trapped in endless hesitation. Don't continue on a path that only brings sorrow. Sometimes, when a situation has reached this point, the wise choice is not to keep forcing it, but to stop, step back, and find another way. Overall, hexagram Zhun means difficulty at the beginning. These 6 lines tells us a story of how difficult things can be when they are just beginning, when yin and yang first start to interact, and a new life hasn't yet found its clear form. Even though the whole hexagram is full of difficulty, the statement is still very positive. It says there can be great success if we remain correct, patient, and persevering. The first line shows us that even when the beginning is blocked, there is still inner strength. If we don't rush and build our own power and gather the right helpers, good things can eventually happen. The second line gives us the image of the maiden waiting. It tells us not to accept every offer too quickly, but to remain correct and wait for the right time and the right connection. Then the third line shows the danger of not waiting. The person chases the deer without a guide, without preparation, and without understanding the situation. So he only goes deeper into the forest and places him in danger. The fourth line gives us a turning point. Now it is time to build connection. If the right helper appears, we shouldn't be blocked by pride or hesitation. Seeking union becomes very favorable. Even the fifth line, although it is in a high position, still can't do everything smoothly. The blessing is blocked, and the benefit can't easily reach the people below. So one should only do small things carefully and steadily. This really shows the difficulty of the beginning. And finally, the top line shows the saddest result. If someone keeps hesitating, wondering, and remaining trapped inside the difficulty, then the beginning difficulty may turn into deep sorrow. So the whole hexagram is like a seed sprout trying to move upwards through the soil. Life has started to move, but the path is still blocked. At this moment, we shouldn't give up, but we also shouldn't rush blindly. We need to build strength, find helpers, wait for the right time, avoid acting without guidance, and slowly bring order out of confusion. To me, this is the spirit of Zhun. Every beginning is difficult, but difficulty isn't failure. If we stay correct, organize the chaos, and keep moving with patience, new life can finally break through. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and continue exploring the I Ching with me. I will see you in the next video.